Hey everyone, Amber here, and welcome back to my channel. So it's been a little while since I last filmed and uploaded a video. I think it's been almost a year, so if this video is a little rusty, forgive me. I'm just trying to get back into things, so bear with me. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I made this box full of smaller boxes full of goodies. Thinking of calling it like the ultimate Penpal goodie box or something. It's a working title, but without the title or anything, I think the box itself is a really cute idea for Happy Mail. So the one I've already made here is a spring theme. I'm going to be sending it out with some spring mail soon. And yeah, so I've covered it with flowers, a butterfly, a bunny, lots of cute spring stuff. And once you open the box, you'll see that there is 4 smaller boxes inside. And these boxes are tiny, but trust me, there's plenty of room for goodies. I like to put 4 of these boxes in the larger box. You could probably maybe fit 5, but I think 4 is just a good number. So once you open the box, you can see plenty of room for goodies. For this one, I put little puffy bunnies because it is a spring themed one. So for this box, I definitely recommend using a heavier paper or a cardstock, just because you want it to hold up during shipping and you want it to last when you give it to whoever you give it to. Also, I used double-sided paper for this box, and I have to admit I do like the look of double-sided paper more than not double-sided paper, but for the one that I'm about to make, I used not double-sided, and it came out fine. It came out cute, so don't worry about it. If you don't have double-sided paper, it'll still look great. Alright, so the first thing we are going to do is make the outer box. So you'll need a piece of paper that measures 8 1/4 inch by 11 3/4 inch. I'm just using a piece of paper that I got with a Michaels Hot Buy paper pad. I really love the pattern and I think that it could work for spring, even though the book was for autumn. Also, I still don't have a scoring tool, which is kind of embarrassing to admit, but I just haven't got around to buying one, so I still use my cutting board to score. So if you don't have a scoring tool, you can make do with what you have. So the first step is to score 1 5/8 of an inch all the way around. So on all 4 sides of your paper, just make that score line. Alright, and now the next step, we have 2 more score lines to add before we can move on to the next step of making our box. The first score line you're going to put in once you flip your paper horizontal is going to be 5 inches. And then the next one is going to be 6 3/4 inch. Alright, and that's all for that part. And now we're going to move on to cutting out. We actually don't cut anything out of this box. We just kind of separate and trim down. So you'll see what I mean. So basically all those little squares you can see on your paper once you've added all the score lines, you're just going to cut so that you separate those. You're not cutting them off the paper. You're just separating them from the larger rectangular flaps. So you can see here, that's what I'm doing. For the squares closer to the outside, you're just going to cut on the vertical score line, like when the paper is vertical, if that makes sense. You'll probably understand more from just watching me instead of listening to me try to explain, because I'm terrible at that. So yes, and once you've made all those cuts, I just like to trim the squares up by making a slight diagonal cut on the sides. This really helps in putting the box together, and I also think it just gives the whole project a cleaner, more professional look. Okay, and once you have all those cut, you are now going to fold on all of your score lines that you made. Now you can totally fold before you cut if you want. I used to do that, but cutting when the paper was folded and the paper kind of curled and went in awkward directions made it hard to cut. I just don't like that, so now I cut when the paper's flat and then I fold later. Which might be a little bit more time consuming, but it's all about preference, I guess. And make sure that you fold all those little squares down as well. Alright, and now it's time to start putting our box together. So this is the home stretch for this box. Alright, so to put the top and bottom of the box together, you're just going to do what I'm showing you here. You're just going to take those two little square flaps and you're going to glue them to the inner part of those longer rectangular ones. You can use any adhesive you want. I really like this brand of glue stick I use. It's cheap, but it holds together pretty well. I also like using glue sticks just because they don't dry immediately, so they give you time to kind of move things around if you need to. So make sure when you are gluing this together that you match up the lines really nicely. It'll give her a nicer look, and it also really helps in making sure that the box closes just right. So now that I have the top done, I'm going to go ahead and do the same to the bottom. So once again, putting glue on both of those squares and then gluing them to the inside of those rectangles. And I'm just making sure that all my lines match up nicely. Usually I would use larger clothespins to hold this together until it dries, but for the sake of the video, I just kind of went with it. Alright, so now for the last part, you're going to take those squares and glue it to either side. It doesn't matter, it's not going to affect anything if you choose one side over the other. So I'm just making that top part the top of my box and then gluing the flaps onto the inside of the other rectangle at the bottom. So it's just what you did to make the top and bottom earlier, and now you're just going to secure the middle part of the box, if that makes sense. Again, I am terrible at explaining things. I don't know why I even try. Alright, so once again, just make sure everything matches up nicely. It'll help in the long run. So once you have those glued down, you can close your box. The first time you close your box, you might need to press the corners in, but once it takes shape, it will take shape and it will hold nicely. So I did notice when I closed mine that the top of my box kind of moved a little bit when I was working with it. So another reason why I like using glue sticks, it just gives you time to move things around if you need to. Alright, and now our main box is done. You could stop here if you wanted to. If you wanted to put other stuff inside of here, totally fine. I like the whole a box full of boxes, so if you want to learn how to make the little boxes, stick around. Alright, so like I mentioned, I like to include 4 Goodie boxes. So I already made 3 here. You can see it opens just like I showed you at the start of the video. And I also like to put a little piece of decorative paper on the front just to give it a bit more flair and decoration. Alright, so the first thing you need to make a mini box is a piece of cardstock, once again, that measures 7 inches by 4 inches. And with your paper long ways, we are going to score at 2 inches 2.5 inches, 4.5 inches, and 5 inches. And then you're going to flip your paper so it's vertical, and you're going to make a few more score lines. So like since I use my cutting board, I sometimes have issues getting the paper in there just right to score it. But the score lines you're making now are 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 3 inch, and 3.5 inches. And once you have that done, you are done scoring for this project, and now we are going to cut a bunch of stuff out. So you can see once you have all of your score lines in that you have 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and 4 in the middle. So the first thing we're going to cut out are these 2 rectangles on both sides at the bottom. So just cut them out from both sides. All right, and now we're going to cut the 2 rectangles out from the middle on both sides as well. All right, and now we just have a little bit more cutting to do. So you'll see that you have 2 squares on all of these smaller little rectangles here. So instead of having 2 squares, we're going to cut it down so we have 1 square each instead of 2. So you can see here, I'm just cutting the little squares off. And right there, I almost cut the wrong way. So don't daze off like I did. And the last step, like we did earlier, we're just going to cut at a slight diagonal. And with this one, it really helps to hold the box together. If you leave it as squares, the tabs don't want to go in as well, so this is an important step to remember. Alright, and now you will be left with something like this, and now we're just going to fold up on all the score lines, get nice creases so that our box holds together well. Alright, now this box is super easy to put together. You're just going to take the outermost square and fold it in once so that you get something that looks like this. And then you're going to fold it one more time. And you can see the box is already taking shape. And now this is important. Make sure that your tabs fit in. I've noticed half the time mine don't, so I have to trim them down a bit like I'm going to do here. And no worries if they don't fit, take a little bit of that excess paper off and it'll work like a charm. Now the great thing about this box is you don't actually need adhesive to hold it down. You can see once the tab is in, it holds together on its own. However, I like to make it a little bit more secured. So I'm going to add some glue to the back, I'm not sure because once it gets all flipped around, but to the pattern side of my paper on that last square. And then I'm just going to fold it like I did before. And once again, check to make sure that my tabs fit in, because once the box is glued, if you decide to use glue and the tabs don't fit, it's going to be a whole mess. So just take your time, make sure everything fits perfectly. And once I knew that mine did, I used my scoring tool to just adhere it to the inside of the box. And now my box is done. I love these. I think they're so cute. They're so tiny. And to add more decoration, like I said before, I like to put a piece of paper on top. So you need a square piece of paper that measures 1 3/4 inch by 1 3/4 inch. And I'm just adding some glue to that and then very lightly pressing it down. Don't press too hard because you don't want to collapse your box after all the hard work you did. So now the only thing left to do is put the small boxes into the bigger box. So I'm just using some crinkle paper or Easter grass. I just like to use that because I think it adds a bit more padding and it makes it cute as well. So you can either stack your boxes, but I like to put them in a pattern and just kind of lay them at a diagonal. I think that looks cute. And here's my finished box. So I didn't film the whole process of decorating it because then the video would just be way too long. So for the top of the outer box, I used a cut apart, some flowers, a vellum tag, some wood veneer hearts to give it that kind of spring look. And then in the inside, I decided to use some mint grass as well as the pink grass or crinkle paper. And then for the smaller boxes, I decided to tie a baker's twine, the pink color around it. And I'm just showing you here what I decided to put in all of the little boxes so that you might get some ideas for goodies that you might want to send to your pen pal or friend. So in that one, I put some white wood veneer hearts, and in this one, I put some wood grain wood veneer hearts. And these hearts are from the Target Dollar Spot. You get 120 in each pack for $3, so it's a really good deal. And they're great for sending to pen pals. In this box, I put 2 little rolls of washi tape. This washi tape is from the Dollar Tree. You get 7 rolls for $1, which I think is a steal, and I love sending them to my pen pals. And in the last box, I put some wood grain little mini clothespins. I have a ton of these. They're one of my favorite things to just clip onto Happy Mail, so I thought I would share. And that is my finished box. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this video wasn't too awkward. And if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. If you do decide to make this project, I would love to see it. So please feel free to tag me on Instagram at Bambi's Mail in your post. I will leave a link to my Instagram in the description down below. So yeah, take care and happy crafting, guys. I'll see you in the next video.